page and following. It's at Plant You, which you'll be able to go to get today's recipes. We're going to learn more about her story and how she started her business, and she's going to be making 2 delicious recipes. Please welcome to the show, Carleigh Bodrug. I hope I said it right.
You did. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to come on here to make some plant-based food today. It's so exciting.
I'd love to not only see the recipes, but to hear more about you and how you got started and in plant-based in general and in your business in particular.
Of course. So for everybody who doesn't know me, I'm Carleigh. I'm probably most well known for the blog Plant You. So I make plant-based, whole food, oil-free recipes. And how I got into this was probably in 2015, actually, news came out from the World Health Organization that red meat and processed meat had been now classified as class 1 and class 2 carcinogens. My dad's a colon cancer survivor, and the news was quite shocking. I grew up on a hobby farm in Ontario, and we had grown up with a glass of milk at dinner and meat on our plate every night, thinking that that's what was recommended. And so this news kind of blew all of our minds, colon cancer being quite prevalent in my family. And almost overnight, the 3 of us, me, my mom, and dad, started shifting towards a plant-based diet. At the time, I was actually working as a radio host up in Northern Ontario, and I had a very tiny, small basement apartment, and I started cooking, and I really didn't know how to cook, and especially didn't know how to cook vegan, having grown up on a meat and potatoes diet. And I started experimenting with different plant-based foods, found there wasn't a ton of resources online for people new to not just a vegan diet, but a plant-based whole food kind of diet. So that's when I started messing around in the kitchen and posting my recipes on Instagram. And over the last couple of years, it's really taken off. And now I find myself here. I've got a wonderful community of around 400,000 followers between my networks. And I also release weekly whole food, plant-based, oil-free meal plans at plantyou.com. Today, I'm going to be making one of my favorite meals that actually, it's more of a breakfast meal, but you could make this for dinner as well. I'm making a tofu scramble and also a really good gut health smoothie. So a tofu scramble, one of the best things I like about it is that obviously it has a ton of protein, but you don't need to crush your tofu for this recipe. So I find so many recipes online that utilize tofu. You need to press it beforehand, but not for this. So you just need a block of extra firm tofu, and you simply want to mash it down with a fork until it has kind of that scrambled egg looking consistency. So I'm not going to hold that over the burner while I do it. I'll just do it down here and then show you guys what it looks like. But it's really easy. Just get a plate and a fork and your tofu and just simply mash it down, and it will become a scrambled consistency really quickly.
How's your dad doing? Is he completely in remission?
Yeah, so he's been cancer-free now for probably the better of 15 years, so which is wonderful. And I mean, I was so glad. My parents are really, my dad's turning 70 next year, but I'm really thankful because my parents are very open to change. So going from eating, literally, we would have meat for multiple meals per day to basically nothing. It was amazing to see. And I remember one time we were watching Forks Over Knives documentary when we first really got into it. And he was watching it and he just had this face of just almost anger. And I remember saying like, oh, like, what's wrong? He's like, I just feel like I've been lied to my whole life. Like, because he had tried to be a healthy human, but I mean, still is. But it's just kind of that aha moment. And the fact that you went through cancer, a very evasive surgery, had to go off work for a year, chemotherapy, and now you're going into eating and drinking a glass of milk every night, probably the thing that caused it. It's just, I can imagine the kind of frustration, but yes, cancer-free and plant-based. So that is a wonderful thing. Here's the kind of bright, but the scrambled tofu. So actually I need to add the onion to the pan first. So I just have a nonstick pan here. This is just a regular nonstick pan. I would suggest like a toxic-free green pan if you can get a hold on of it. And to start, I'm just adding some onions. This is about half a yellow cooking onion to the pan. And when I'm cooking oil-free, I always have a glass of water by my pan because I always add just a little bit at the start to saute. When I first started oil-free cooking, it's probably the question I get the most. How do you saute vegetables without oil? And the truth is, I really don't find a heck of a lot of difference between sauteing with oil and water, especially something like onions, which I don't know about you, but almost all of my plant-based meals seem to begin with onions. And as soon as those heat up, they sweat and lubricate the pan as well. So it's actually pretty excellent and a really easy way to quickly cut calories and fat from your diet by cooking oil-free. It's one of the best things I ever did when I went plant-based because my meals just felt so much lighter. I noticed a difference in my skin. And now when I go out to eat, I find I can just taste the oil on the food right away. So I've got the pan about medium heat.
Yeah, I agree. Everything starts with an onion, but I feel so bad for people like when they do a low FODMAP and they can't have onion and garlic. I don't know I just don't know what to tell them.
I know onion is like, I feel like it's such an essential when it comes to, especially plant-based cooking, right? Because you're building flavor and yeah, I love it. Onion and garlic, always in it, just about every one of my savory meals.
How many recipes have you done so far, would you estimate, have you created?
How many recipes? Oh my goodness, probably thousands now, but they're very simple. Like I am not a complex cook and I would not call myself like a chef or anything. I try to cater to the person who doesn't know how to cook and just like help me get started because that's who I was and who I kind of still am. I'm always exploring in the kitchen. So, and the kind of my recipe making process is I'll hop on Pinterest. And if I'm wanting to make something like say a tofu scramble, I'll take a look at a bunch of different recipes and see how I can simplify this in the simplest recipe possible. That's kind of like my formula for recipe creating. So now that the onion's sweating a bit, I'm just going to add some of the tofu. How many recipes do you think you've created over the years?
Honestly, only about 400. I don't know how people are more prolific than that. And it's taken my whole life. Do you ever think of writing a book?
Okay, so I haven't announced this publicly yet, but my publisher said I could like mention it here and there. I just finished shooting and writing my cookbook. So it won't come out, as you probably know, this process is just the longest thing I've ever witnessed, but it won't come out probably for a year and a half.
Then let's book you now for then so that we can talk about the
wonderful.
Book. Are you allowed to say the name of it?
So I don't know yet, but the proposal was the ridiculously easy, insanely delicious, plant-based oil-free cookbook.
Sounds good to me.
We'll see what it's called. My agent actually came up with that because I was like, I don't know what to call it other than Plant You, but I wanted it to be extendable to people who don't know me. So that's what it's called for now. As you know, things can change through the book writing process. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. That was like, writing this book was an experience. It was just like the recipe testing, I did the photography myself. So it was all consuming, I'll say.
Well, congratulations. That is very, very exciting. And when it comes out, let's get you on the show again. And,
that would be wonderful.
Some recipes from Easting. That is it. People are saying congratulations. So
thank you.
Tammy says, when you use garlic in your sauces, do you mince it or chop it, or is it okay to put it in whole? I put it in whole if it's going to be blended anyway, but.
Yeah, if it's going to be blended into a sauce, I certainly just add the whole clove of garlic. For some reason, I can't see the question, so I might try to adjust the screen really quickly.
That's okay. I'm happy to read them to you.
Okay, I'll leave them.
It's not a problem. I just wondered, did you cook before you became plant-based? Were you cooking much?
No, I was the worst. Like I went to university, and people can't believe it now. is I would have a freezer full of processed food. Like I went from the one extreme of eating all microwave meals to the next extreme of cooking all like healthy plant-based foods, probably basically overnight. And I can't tell you the difference it made in my health. I just felt so much better. I actually grew up, hopefully this isn't too much information, but very constipated as a kid and was actually prescribed laxatives because I had so many issues. And as soon as I went plant-based, all of the issues I had in digestion evaporated within like 2 weeks, just because of the amount of fiber I was now eating. So it's always something I suggest when someone says they're not going to the bathroom like they should be. I'm like, have you tried eating plant-based? Because it can be a great solution. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a bit of this. So the water comes out of the tofu as well, so it does lubricate the pan even more. So I've just got the tofu and onions in there. I'm adding 1 whole tomato that's chopped before it came on here. A 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Turmeric's amazing for your brain health and a really good anti-inflammatory, but it also adds a great color to the tofu scramble to make it look eggy. So we're just going to add that, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And to answer your question about whether you add in garlic whole, I definitely add it in whole to recipes when I'm making sauces. But if I'm making something like a pasta sauce, I would generally mince it. Oh, this is important. Okay, so this is black salt. You can usually find this online or at a natural food store. It is not necessary for this recipe, but it is a salt from India that has a high sulfur content, and it gives anything really, but a tofu scramble especially, a very eggy taste. I can't explain it, but they say it's from the sulfur content. It is a wonderful ingredient to add to your spices. So I'm just going to add, you don't need a lot, just a little bit of that. And then we're just going to mix that all up.
Do you have a most popular recipe on your blog?
There's a few that are really popular, but probably I have a Snickers smoothie that people love. It's like a chocolate smoothie with dates and peanut butter. Not the healthiest smoothie I have, but still generally really good. People love, in my meal plan program, I have a vegan lasagna recipe that I make a tofu ricotta. And I've had people tell me time and time and again that they fed it to their like carnivore family and they loved it. So that's really good. I love making a bolognese pasta sauce, and my trick to it is I'll take a whack of mushrooms and spinach and onion and bell pepper and just put it in the food processor so it grinds it up really fine. And then you add it to a pan with like some balsamic, and it becomes almost like a really thick meat mince. And that's really popular. Like I'll use that in both the lasagna and if I'm just making a pasta sauce. It's an amazing way to get in a lot of vegetables while also creating like a meat-like sauce without the meat.
That sounds great.
Yeah, smelling amazing.
Tell us a little bit about your meal plans. Like, how are they delivered? What do people get? And
yeah, of course. So it's a subscription service. So for $7.99 per month, members get access to all my past meal plans. So I've been doing this for 1.5 years. So there's about 85 on there, give or take. And a new meal plan comes out every week. It's based around meal prepping. So I have like a schedule people can follow, and 7 new recipes come out every week. They're all whole foods, plant-based, oil-free. When I first started it, I was doing it all by myself, but I have recipe creators now who help, thank goodness. And we release a plan each week. We make sure there's overlapping ingredients, so they get a shopping list that they can take with them to the grocery store. And the recipes each have step-by-step instructions, as well as the caloric information if that's something people are paying attention to. So it's really, the whole point of it is to help expand people's like repertoire of plant-based oil-free recipes and to give people some inspiration in the kitchen. I never anticipate that someone's going to join the program and make all the recipes that I put out every single week, although some do. It's more just to give you ideas, because I think it can dry up quickly, especially there's not a ton of resources in the online space for oil-free. So people like that aspect for sure. Then we have like a private Facebook community where people are able to kind of share their meal preps each week, and they're if they're even sharing a recipe and stuff like that.
Is it customizable, say, for people that have to be gluten-free or maybe have a nut allergy?
Yeah, so it's not customizable yet. So we're launching a web app in the next 3 months. I shouldn't even say in 3 months because we know how these things go, but hopefully in the next 3 months. I'm launching a web app which will have like customizable drag and drop meal planner. Right now they're PDF meal plans each week. With that said, we do provide gluten-free substitutions for every recipe, soy-free substitutions, and nut-free substitutions, as those seem to be the three diet discrepancies that we run into the most. It's actually shocking to me how many people are allergic to nuts that we come across. So that was an important aspect as well.
That's great. You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm in Canada.
What part?
I'm in Ontario, so I am just north of Toronto, about a half an hour north of Toronto.
Nice. And where are most of your subscribers? I imagine they could be anywhere.
United States.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have people from all over the world, and I definitely have like a my Canadians, like I talk to a lot, but even on the Instagram breakdown, it's about 80% US, 10% Canadian. I don't know why. But I mean, I think I will say, being Canadian, I think that plant-based, whenever I visit the States, is definitely taking over there. And you guys have a lot more availability of products. I'm always watching like my plant-based friends in the States and like wishing I had some of the stuff they did.
I know,
but we're coming along.
Because like the wonderful vinegars we get here or the salt-free seasonings, I guess you can't really get there.
No salt-free seasonings. Even like I'll see Dr. Fuhrman comes out with like a line of like oil-free salad dressings and stuff. You go into a Canadian grocery store, I don't know if someone else has found one, but there's not an oil-free salad dressing. Like we're making our own because it would be wonderful to have access to that. And even I see like the processed, not even processed, but like microwave meals that you guys have access to that sometimes are like plant-based. I get pretty jealous because I think in a pinch they could be helpful, but yeah, we're coming along. I mean, in the last 5 years, there's been a massive shift, and I think that's worldwide as well, but hopefully we'll get more products. So this is just about done. It really doesn't need to cook much. I mean, tofu, you could technically eat raw. So there it is. You can tell, I feel like you wouldn't be able to tell this isn't scrambled eggs unless you tasted it. Obviously, it tastes a little bit different, but it's pretty close. So I'm just going to plate that so I can show you guys.
It looks beautiful. And I'm looking at your Instagram page. And so if people want the recipe, they just have to go to Plant You on Instagram. And it's like, I think the 7th post, they can just click it.
Yeah. And I'll share them in my story. So anybody who watched can access. So this would make between 2 to 3 servings, and it depends what you're having it with. So you could have this with toast or oil-free hash browns. I'm going to make a smoothie in a second. And sometimes my fiance and I will even have this for dinner. So
depending on a fiance, is your fiance plant-based?
Yeah. So he's not 100%, but we've been together almost 9 years now. So when we first met, neither of us were even close to being vegan, and he is probably 95% plant-based now. So I can't complain. We don't bring any animal products into our house, and I do most of the cooking. So he enjoys it. He's actually very athletic. He's training to do a marathon right now, and he has found like going plant-based has been so good for inflammation. He lost 30 pounds without trying. He's a big guy though, so 30 pounds wasn't huge on him. Like, I mean, big as in like 6'5". But yeah, so very helpful to have a partner who supports you in your plant-based journey. But I always recommend, I get questions all the time from people saying, I want to go plant-based, but my partner doesn't. I always recommend then making dishes that lend to meat on the side. So you could make a pasta dish with a veggie sauce, and they could make their own chicken breast to have on the side. Or you could make a stir fry with tofu and they could have shrimp on the side. So it's more about viewing meat as a side dish rather than a main. I know it's hard if your partner's not on there as well. All right, so there is the beautiful tofu scramble. It smells so good. I wish I could smell-o-vision it over to you guys.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't look old enough to get married. You look like you've just got out of high school. So
I'm 28.
Oh, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Our wedding was actually canceled this summer because of COVID. But we've been together so long, so we were really just throwing it to have like friends and family there. But it's just been a crazy summer. I had about 5 friends getting married, and all of us have shifted it to next year. So
will it be a plant-based wedding?
Yes. So I am planning a vegan wedding. So I don't know exactly what the menu is going to be yet. I made this decision back in like February that I'm like, okay, I'm really not comfortable serving meat at the wedding anymore, given how I've evolved. And we weren't sure what we were going to do, but we were thinking kind of like a Mediterranean buffet with a whole bunch of different kind of like salads and pasta dishes and stuff like that. So hopefully we can still do a buffet. I don't know what will happen. It might need to be plated just given COVID and everything, but we're hoping to have, and we were even going to do like a vegan charcuterie board to begin with. I was so excited, but given the book this summer as well, it actually was like a bit of a blessing that it was canceled. Don't let my fiance hear that, but I was okay with it. So, all right, I'm going to shift this stuff over because I have a smoothie recipe coming for you guys. So I'm going to be out of the thing for just a second.
You say that he's athletic. Has he seen Game Changers?
Yes, which we both loved. Such a good movie. And you know what I loved about it is I think guys are the hardest to convince because I think meat is so tied to masculinity. But when you see someone like Nimai Delgado on there and his muscles and he's vegan, I feel like that is just so good for the plant-based movement.
I have a question.
We actually got an early showing of it. I was connected to the narrator of it, and it was phenomenal movie.
Peggy has a question. Is your meal plans weight loss friendly? Are your meal plans?
So I never like to say that it will make you lose weight because I am not a dietitian. It's meant to provide you with plant-based meal ideas. With that said, all the caloric information is on there. We don't use oil, and it's all whole foods plant-based. So I like to say when people eat whole foods plant-based, generally you're probably going to see yourself lose weight. But I never guarantee because I don't know what someone is actually eating on the weekends or whichever else, which is important to mention. It's just for Monday to Friday because it's kind of how we live our lives. We like to prepare all our meals and meal prep from Monday to Friday, and then it's a bit more loosey-goosey, fun, different meals on the weekends. So that's, oh, the light just came off. That's how I have it kind of set up. Just gonna move my blender into the frame here. This is a Vitamix because I'm sure I'll get asked. I had a Ninja for years before this, and it was great too. You don't need a Vitamix to make good smoothies. All right. So this is a smoothie I make often, and I mean, I always get asked if someone can make substitutions in smoothies. So for this, I have cashew milk here. You could use almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, any of the vegan milks are good. I have about almost 2 cups of mixed berries here. Again, any frozen berries would work for this recipe. I have a couple of handfuls of fresh spinach. If you are new to making smoothies with veggies in them, I always recommend spinach as a good starter green to add to your smoothies because it is virtually undetectable, especially if you're making a berry smoothie, you can't even see it. So if you're wanting to sneak some greens into your kids' into your kids' smoothies. It's a good way to do it. I also have these microgreens. These are pea shoots. I wanted to put broccoli sprouts in my smoothie, but I couldn't find any at the grocery store. But these work as well. They're just really good. Like both Chef AJ and I are taking a gut health course by Dr. Will Bolsowitz. I don't know how to say his last name.
His name is actually harder to pronounce than your name.
Yeah,
I think it's
Dr. V.
Yeah.
He's a gut health MD on Instagram, and his big thing about gut health is eating a diversity of plants. So when I'm making a smoothie, at least I would recommend trying to balance your fruit with your greens and just throwing extra stuff in there and getting adventurous with it, because it's just such a great way to get your greens in. And another tip is, I saw Dr. Michael Greger speak earlier this year in Florida, and he had such a great tip for smoothies. He had someone ask, like, what do you think of smoothies? And he said, they're great. He said, but drink them as if you're eating all of the contents of the smoothie. Like, that's the pace you want to drink it at, so you avoid a blood sugar spike. And it kind of really hit home for me, because I'm like, oh, that's so true. Like, if you were to just sit down and eat all of this food right now, it would take you probably at least a half an hour. So you just want to pace yourself if you're drinking a smoothie and not throw it back. Really great for fiber as well. I do have some unsweetened coconut yogurt here, but you could use, if you're looking to reduce the fat, you could use almond yogurt or none at all. I like it for the probiotics, and it gives a really nice flavor. Again, another thing I always recommend when making smoothies is doing unsweetened milks, unsweetened yogurts. It's just really not, the extra sweetener is really not needed when you're adding fruit to a smoothie, and you'll get used to it very quickly. All right, so I'm going to add milk here.
There's a question from Giselle, if you cook potatoes and if you also use an Instant Pot and an air fryer.
I do cook potatoes. I eat potatoes all the time. I find they're it's crazy to me, because if you make French fries without oil, and you can bake them, slice them into fries, season them, bake them, they'll come out so crispy and beautiful. And the calories are so low on French fries without oil. Like, they've been demonized, but in reality, potatoes and French fries without oil are such an amazing source of energy. So yes, I cook potatoes. I eat them at least once a week. I do have an air fryer. I don't use it often, but it does make really nice crispy potatoes. And when I do use it, I don't add oil to it. And I find it doesn't really make a heck of a difference. And then what was the other question she asked?
Instant Pot, air fryer, and potatoes. Yeah.
So I have an Instant Pot as well. I have a great mashed potato Instant Pot recipe on my blog. If you Google Instant Pot mashed potatoes Plant You, it'll probably come up. That has no oil as well. But I don't use my Instant Pot all the time either. I generally use it for rice, because I find it's really easy to cook rice in it. And if I'm making beans from scratch. But to be completely honest, over the last 6 months doing the cookbook and everything, I haven't been making beans from scratch. I've been using canned beans. And if you're new to the plant-based lifestyle, I think there's not much wrong with that. You want to look for BPA free and no added sodium if you can. All right.
So, Carleigh, people are asking if they're not on Instagram, can they still see your page to get the recipes? Because
so you can visit Instagram.com/plantyou, and you can find recipes on there, and you don't need to be on Instagram to do that. I can also post them to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/plantyoublog, just to make it easy. I should have them on my blog as well, just haven't loaded them up there yet.
What before you? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. I was just wondering what did you used to do before you were an Instagram star and blogger?
So I actually went to university for broadcast journalism. So it was quite transferable skills, but I was a morning radio host for a couple of years up in Northern Ontario. And then I got a job working in communications and marketing for a hospital foundation. So in Ontario, actually all of Canada, all of our hospitals have charities that raise money for all the hospital equipment at the hospitals. So I worked for one of those, but I basically wrote patient stories and did all the marketing for them. So I was working there up until just about a year and a half ago. I launched the program. It took off. My Instagram started gaining steam, and I took the jump and left my job. So it's been good. It paid off for sure. And the rest is sort of history so far.
That's amazing. What air fryer do you have? Diane wants to know.
I have the Tefal air fryer, and it has, like, it comes out and you put your food in and it spins. Would not recommend it. Nothing against the brand Tefal. I think they have some more new air fryers, but the problem, if it spins, you can't really put anything on there. Like sometimes I'll make breaded tofu nuggets or something like that. You can't put anything that it can break down in it because it spins, and you can't stop it from spinning. So I've seen other air fryers that come out, put it in, and it's like it stays where it's supposed to be. And that's what I'm kind of in the market for. But you can also, while I'm on the topic of it, great tofu nuggets are really basic. You can press tofu, coat them in almond milk, and then coat them in some oil-free breadcrumbs, and they turn out fabulous if you bake them. No oil needed. All right, I'm going to blend this, and it will be loud for a 30 seconds probably.
It's weird, guys. I can only see the Facebook comments today. I actually had to go log into YouTube to see the YouTube comments. This is very weird. Isn't she adorable? I meet the nicest people on this show. And I will ask your question, Shane, in just a second. Yeah, and everybody wishes they knew this when they were growing up, Randy. And Diane, I think the Breville is the best if you can afford it. Doesn't everybody wish they had a plant-based wedding now when they got married? Let's go hop over to YouTube and see if I'm missing anything. And
so as you can tell, this has blended into, despite having both the pea shoots and the spinach, into a beautiful purple color. You cannot see any remnant of green in there. And this could actually probably lend 2 servings.
Francie Sue says,
that is so kind. You're too kind. Thank you.
And you know, you may not know this because you're probably not on Zoom every day like I am, but Zoom has this feature. We couldn't hear the blender. So I was just talking the whole time. Just it silences all the machines. Isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, this is loud. I'm sorry.
Everybody loves your outfit. I can't tell if it's a top or a dress, but I'm getting
it's a dress. It's pretty old. I wish I could tell you where I got it, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a like a long dress.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, so you could have this as a wonderful breakfast. It has fiber, protein, so many vegetables, and spices, and it's super healthy, completely oil-free, and will fill you up for hours. Like I said, I would love to serve, typically I would serve a tofu scramble with baked potatoes, or even just a slice of like sprouted grain bread is wonderful. The smoothie has spinach, cashew milk, mixed berries, coconut yogurt, pea shoots. And it's purple.
Anything tastes better in purple, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I told you, but I only met you like about 2 minutes before we went on, and I said, I bet you we're going to get this question. And sure enough, from Shane, will she please say what a typical day of eating looks like for her? And if you want to add exercise, if you do that as well, we love to hear your healthy habits.
Yeah, so I would say lately, just because of my schedule, I've been getting up in the morning. I usually have a glass of water almost immediately, kind of like lukewarm water, just to kind of get the systems moving in the morning. Then I'll have either a matcha latte or a cup of black coffee. I love coffee, but I find it staining my teeth as of recently. So I've been, I really like matcha as well. I have a great matcha latte recipe on both my blog, plantyou.com, and my Instagram page if you're looking for one. Then I generally, and it's not that I recommend it, it's just my schedule. I generally don't eat until lunch. But if I am having breakfast, I love like a quick sprouted grain bread with some like all natural peanut butter, or I love a smoothie. So if I'm not eating breakfast, I'll generally have a smoothie for lunch with a slice of sprouted grain bread and peanut butter. So I'll make a smoothie very similar to this, or I love an arugula salad with walnuts and like a balsamic glaze. I do like a sprouted grain bread, and I probably eat bread more than I should, but that's okay. Then for dinner, like my fiance and I seem to always have curry every week. Like I love either like a red Thai curry or an Indian curry. The big thing about curries in like a whole foods plant-based lifestyle is a lot of them utilize coconut milk, which isn't necessarily terrible, but it is pretty fat dense. So you can just usually swap that out in recipes for an unsweetened plant milk of any sorts. You could even add, which is lower fat, plant-based yogurt to curries. So we'll have like a curry with a whole bunch of vegetables. So I like to add peas, chickpeas, cauliflower, even potatoes. And then we usually serve that over like either a brown or basmati rice. I work out before usually my dinner, and I've forgotten to say, like I snack during the day. I love popcorn. I love like because I'm a food blogger, I'm usually making treats each week. So I'll have like treats throughout the day. And by treats, I mean like I'll make like date energy balls or bars or something like that, which I'll have like as an afternoon snack. Then I work out. Then I have this big curry dinner, and that's about it. Sometimes I'll have some like 80% dark chocolate before I like kind of wind down for the night. We try to eat before 7, just because I find if I eat later, I won't sleep as well. What else? I mean, like I eat a lot. Like if you saw what my plates usually consume of, it's just I don't like necessarily graze all morning and stuff like that. And I feel like that's one of the keys. I think it's Joel Fuhrman says like he does not like snacking, but I like to snack, but I wouldn't say it's like something I'm like overdue. When I worked at a desk job, I would find I would snack a lot out of boredom. But now that I work the work that I do, I just find the days get away from me. Mm-hmm. But curries, pastas, anything like that are a really easy way to sneak in a ton of vegetables. Dinner doesn't have to be complicated. I saw yesterday Chef AJ posted like a photo of like corn on the cob and potatoes, and it just like looked like such a delicious, and you had some greens in there, but like such a delicious, simple meal. So it's more about thinking about the outer edges of the grocery store, apart from the milk and eggs, what you can utilize to make different combinations of meals. Oftentimes we'll even have like a tofu scramble or a stir fry. We make a lot of stir fries. But yeah, I generally weight train. So I probably work out between 4 to 5 days a week weight training, and not a lot of cardio, and for no reason other than I don't really like it.
That's so funny, because maybe they can splice us together, because all I do is cardio and I don't do any weight training. So maybe we can.
Yeah, we need to go half and half. I know. I'm like, we bought a treadmill earlier this year. We actually bought it just before COVID, which was a bit of a blessing, but like I despise it. Like put me on a treadmill, I just can't. But
but maybe there was something you like dancing or spinning,
yeah.
Or,
I've got to find the right thing for me in terms of cardio. I got a bit into like riding my bike around the neighborhood this summer, which was good, I think. And it's key. I mean, my fiance is always on to me, but like I sit at a desk usually for most of the day. I think it's key to get up every hour and kind of move around for 10 minutes, whether it's taking a brisk walk or doing some jumping jacks or something.
What's amazing is you went because maybe Diane tuned in late because she said, what was your decision to come plant-based, if you'd like to repeat it. But what's interesting is you went healthy plant-based right away. So many people become vegan for the animals, which is great. That's what I did. But they don't do it in a healthy way. But you like immediately, didn't you go like oil-free right away?
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I read maybe Joel Fuhrman's book, Eat to Live first, which he takes a very like strict approach. And I actually remember my parents went on like the Joel Fuhrman, like Eat to Live diet and lost so much weight off the hop. I didn't go on like his kind of diet, but I had read his book and I believe he's a proponent of no oil. And that kind of got me on there right away. And I went plant-based for people who are joining late. My dad is a colon cancer survivor. And in 2015, news came out from the World Health Organization that processed meat and red meat have been now classed as class 1 and class 2 carcinogens. So this news was very shocking. I mean, my dad had colon cancer, is a survivor, and his 2 cousins also had colon cancer. So it was definitely something top of mind for me. And that definitely hit a nerve when that happened. So I immediately went plant-based for health reasons. But over the years now, I would say I'm equally as driven by the animal and environmental reasons to go plant-based. And this is what I always tell people. Like, I mean, it's not only do you go through almost like a health revolution when you go plant-based, it almost feels like a spiritual awakening to what you have been consuming and kind of the industries you have been supporting. It's really eye-opening when you start looking at animal agriculture and the impact on the environment and also the animals, of course.
What's interesting is the information you got, so did everybody else. And yet you were very young and made the decision, and other people know this information and still don't do it.
I think there's a lot of confusing information online too. Like, I still see some of my friends even will go on like the ketogenic diet, right? So I just think that it's perpetual. Like, meat is just so ingrained as being like the center of our plates that it's really, really hard for people to move away from. But once you do, I could never go back. Like, I can't even imagine eating meat now. And interestingly enough, and I've talked to quite a few plant-based friends about this, is I used to, I swear, eat the same 3 cuts of meat every day, every night for dinner. And when I went plant-based, I think I was really forced to get out of my comfort zone. And my repertoire of plant-based meals was just expanded tenfold, just because of, like, I opened myself up to so many different cuisines, like Indian and Thai and Mexican food that I had never really explored because I had just been in this cycle of eating meat at the center of my plates for every meal.
Wow. I don't know if you saw the show I did with Dr. Will B on Monday, but I'm wondering, since you have a strong family history of colon cancer, will you be getting the colonoscopy earlier than recommended?
Yeah, so I would think so. I did have a couple of issues probably before I went plant-based, so probably in 2014, and I did actually already have a colonoscopy then. But yeah, I think in my 30s, so coming up, I'll definitely be needing a colonoscopy. I'm not sure how it works in Canada in terms of access to that, but can you still see me? Sorry, someone's
Just hear you.
calling
That's
me.
okay. Yeah, that's all right. Next time, put it on airplane mode, and it won't.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right. At least we can still hear you.
Okay.
How dare they call during the Chef AJ show?
Yeah. But yeah, I would think I will get an early acceptance to colonoscopies here. At least I hope so. The healthcare is a bit different in Canada, but
you seem to have a really healthy attitude towards food and not be orthorexic or have an eating disorder. Did you ever have any food or eating issues or weight issues?
I haven't. And it's something I'm trying to be more cognizant of when I talk about plant-based eating, because I know for some people, putting such hard limitations, especially even saying oil-free, can lead into some unhealthy eating habits in terms of kind of orthorexia and stuff. I haven't struggled with that. I mean, I've seen small fluctuations in my weight, and I definitely dropped probably around 5 to 10 pounds when I went plant-based, but not through effort. So I haven't struggled with that, but even during Black Lives Matter, it was brought up that a lot of people don't even have, okay, so a lot of people who live in like food deserts would be thinking about where their next meal comes from, and they likely don't have a grocery store within transportation access that has a lot of fresh food, and maybe they can only get there once a week, so they need to buy processed food, which doesn't spoil. So anyways, I'm rambling, but I've been trying to change to more inclusive language, because I'm just realizing that not everybody has access to eating plant-based, whether it be through education, or they're worrying about where their next meal comes from, not about eating plant-based, or they simply don't want to put those restrictions on their diet to lead into kind of an eating disorder. So it's been very actually like an eye-opening journey over the last 6 months, because I think I've been guilty of saying a lot that going plant-based is easy. And I think in a privileged position, which I am in, it is quite easy. But for any of the above reasons, whether it's mental illness or poverty, it can be a hurdle.
Great. Well, you seem to have a very healthy relationship to food.
I hope so. I mean, I try to cultivate that. I don't obsess over it. So.
Well, that's great. Do you do any batch cooking?
Yes, I'm a huge proponent of meal prepping and batch cooking. So definitely when I worked a 9-to-5 job is when I was like batch cooking queen on Sunday. I would make all of my lunches for Monday to Friday and dinner for Monday to Wednesday on Sundays. And I think it like really saved me. And it also allowed me to build up my blog, because I had time at night rather than coming home and cooking to work on the blog. And it also is one of the tools I always suggest to people who are going plant-based is to look into batch cooking, because I feel like the temptation to just pop in a microwave meal or go through the McDonald's drive-through is taken away when you know you already have a healthy plant-based meal that you cooked on Sunday waiting for you at home. And it's a really good way to also eliminate food waste, because you're utilizing those ingredients into a meal right away. So yeah, actually my meal plans are based around meal prepping, because I think it's just such a great tool to use for people who are transitioning to a plant-based diet. And there's also less concern over kind of cooking and storing meat, because all the meals are vegetables. And I find things like curries and sauces and stuff like that actually almost taste better after a day in the fridge, if you can believe it. But I love meal prepping and batch cooking.
I think that is the secret to every kind of healthy eating, is just to have the food ready.
Yeah, preparing, because I mean, I could see myself just popping in even we have a really popular breakfast restaurant called Tim Hortons here, and like I would pop in and get a bagel in the morning just because I didn't prep lunch. And I mean, it takes literally 5 minutes to make overnight oats for the week. Like if you want to pop together some oats, almond milk, chia seeds, and add some fruit, takes 5 minutes. So it's like when you actually break it down like that, it can just make life so much easier.
Absolutely. Dina wants to know if you have a food processor and what kind you use.
Yeah, I do have a food processor, and I would say I use it at least twice a week. It's just a Ninja food processor. So I used to have, instead of the Vitamix, like a Ninja food processor and blender. Both are fabulous. I find the food processor one of the easiest food processors to use. I'll see if I can even show you it. Oh, I've got it's just like this, and it literally just pops on the blender, and it has like an S blade in it, and it works so well. I use it all the time. It's not like overly complicated.
That's very cool. And Giselle wants to know if you have any favorite chickpea recipes.
Favorite chickpea recipes. I love a chickpea curry, but one recipe I made recently that's actually going to be in my cookbook is a smashed chickpea salad. So literally you just take smashed chickpea salad sandwich. So you just take chickpeas, a pickle, an onion, and a couple of other vegetables if you want. smash it down with a potato masher, and then I like to add like a tahini dressing, and it honestly tastes so good. You could also add a vegan mayonnaise or a cashew cream to it. And one of the keys I found to a really good like chickpea salad sandwich is using a potato masher rather than like throwing it in a food processor, because it gives like a really kind of meaty consistency. If you do that, it doesn't break it down all the way to make it too mushy. So you could use that in literally just a salad or on a sandwich, and it's delicious.
That sounds great. So you're like less than half my age. What do you do for fun? And what do you watch on Netflix or Amazon Prime? What are the young people doing these days? I am so out of touch.
What do I do for fun? I definitely, like, honestly, I do this for fun. Like, I know that sounds insane, but I think in my young career, since I've only been doing this full time for the last year and a half, I'm constantly looking for ways to cook. I've even like, when I hang out with my family, my dad's become a bit of like, had a couple of viral videos on TikTok because I'll film him doing like recipes on there. So I'm constantly looking at like ways I can make like fun little recipe videos or share content. I mean, like anyone, I love to relax. We love Netflix. What have we been watching lately? We got really into, which I don't know if many of you would have access to, but the Great Canadian Baking Show. It wasn't vegan, but like I got a little bit obsessed with this show over the COVID time, and it's just like a baking competition. I don't even bake very well, but it was just really fun to watch. We love The Office. I swear we've watched like all the seasons 3 different times. And house renovating shows. We're actually moving at the end of this month. So I've been really into like watching like house hunters and renovation shows because the house we're moving into needs a little bit of upgrades. So I'll be heading into that kind of realm soon. And I obviously love hanging out with friends and family. I'm very close to my family and see them all the time.
Are many of your friends plant-based?
No, almost none of them. The only person really, like my family, which makes life very easy, and then Jesse, my fiance, I would describe as plant-based. I don't think any of my friends are plant-based. They're plant curious though.
I'm surprised that they don't see the benefit and just like how, I mean, I don't know what you were like before, but you seem very grounded. You seem much more mature than a lot of people I've met your age.
Oh, thank you. If you saw the town I grew up in, so like literally around me right now, it's all farmers fields. So like I grew up in a very kind of small town, farmers town. Like even some of my friends grew up on like chicken farms and stuff like that. So I think it's, I can see the shift. A lot of people and my friends are shifting away from like eating meat for every meal or drinking milk, even like a glass of milk at dinner, but not the full Monty yet. So I'm holding out hope. But I'm also very much the person, like if I'm attending a party or anything like that, like I don't tend to bring up the fact that I'm vegan or plant-based. I prefer if someone else brings it up and it's in kind of like a non kind of conflict, and I can just share kind of some of the benefits and the reasons why, but it's not generally a topic of conversation when I'm with friends.
That's interesting. People are commenting on an apron they're seeing behind you.
Oh, it's a pineapple. So my logo is a pineapple and my mom bought me this.
That's very cute. Peggy says, plant curious. I like that. I'm sober and people are sober curious. That's hilarious, Peggy.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I always tell people it took me probably a while to fully transition to like plant-based and not like I had a lot of trouble at the beginning in social situations. I'd go to Thanksgiving dinner and still eat the turkey just because I was just so petrified of even talking about being vegan. I remember hiding my blog from my coworkers. I don't know why there was an embarrassment factor there, but I always tell people if they're going plant-based and that's the reason they're holding back, it's like just go 80% plant-based at first. Then eventually you'll build up the confidence in order to kind of deal with those social situations, because I do think that's one of the hardest, at least it was for me, to deal with.
Right. Apple wants to know if you have any companion animals.
Yes, I have a cat, and he's famous on Instagram. I'm going to grab him.
Oh, wow.
People love him.
Does he have his own channel?
No, it's just like everybody says they only follow me for him, but they're kidding, obviously. But this
so
is Tut.
What's his name?
So I did get him before I was plant-based. I know there's like a bit of, because I get asked all the time what I feed him, but I would say I've learned over the years that cats are usually obligate carnivores, and dogs you can feed vegan, although don't quote me on it. But he's a Persian cat. I got him, he was being rehomed because he didn't get along with other cats in a home. So I got him, but he has some troubles. I mean, his hair and bathroom problems. Would not recommend a Persian unless you're ready for some labor and work, because they tend to have some bathroom litter issues, and also the hair is something else. Like, I get him groomed because his fur's massive, and it costs more than it does to do my hair.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. Bailey's haircuts cost more than mine. He is adorable. His face looks grumpy, but he's adorable.
I think his personality's grumpy too, to be honest.
That is hilarious. Well, it has just been so delightful talking to you. You just you're wonderful. Your recipes look great. Oh, where'd she go? Somebody must be.
Oh my goodness. Her. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Just in the future, just know when you're doing anything on your phone, if you put it in airplane mode, that won't happen. Okay, so it's, I really need to have like a little cheat sheet to tell people these things, but I really
now I know. This is my first time doing a live kind of cooking show, so
really
it's so fun.
Well, you did it very well, and I'd love to have you back whenever you like, and especially when the book comes out. So congratulations on that. And
thank you.
And guys, just head over to plantyou.com if you'd like to check out the blog, or Plant You on Instagram to get today's recipe. And thanks so much for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Tomorrow, I have the Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan, on, and he's going to be discussing whether or not going to church can make you fat. Thanks again, Carleigh. It was great meeting you.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Bye.